Every pregnancy needs utmost care and attention. But certain pregnancies need a little extra attention. An Rh negative mother carrying an Rh positive baby is at increased risk of complications. BSV is at the forefront to ensure safe delivery in every Rh negative pregnancy.
Hello and welcome to the Outside View presented by Women's Cricket Zone and brought to you by BSV, Puma, Food and Wellness, MRI Hospitals and NPL Sports Foundation. So this entire tournament has shown us some really intriguing and fascinating contests. We of course talk about the hosts New Zealand in this particular show today. We know that hosting a World Cup is probably a double-edged sword. You know the conditions well there, but there's a bit of a pressure as well. So how has New Zealand's outing in this tournament been? What are the areas of concern? What are the positives that the team can take? To discuss this entire thing, I have alongside me Dane and Julia. Welcome both of you to the show. So coming to you first, Julia, of course. Probably not the journey that they wanted, but of course we always say that there are certain positives that you can take. But if you have to just talk about the way New Zealand carried themselves in this tournament, the first match itself against West Indies was a nail-biting thriller. Just a Deandra Dottin special coming in there in the final over. But they were the hosts, probably a bit of pressure of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they had a really good lead into it. They had some really positive cricket. They were playing very, very well. Obviously, they beat India in the series 4-1. So they really couldn't have had a better lead up to it as well, hosting it at home and probably even getting West Indies first up. You know, it's a challenge, but I think they would have felt fairly confident in the fact that they may have been able to knock off West Indies and get off to a really good start. And it just was an absolute nail biter from the word go, and that sort of set the tone for the rest of the tournament, I think. And I really think that really rocked New Zealand a little bit early, not getting off to that win on that first one and only losing, by 4 runs as well, which was just a bit of a disaster for them. And I think that sort of was the problem with New Zealand the entire tournament, was the fact that they just couldn't win those tight games. We look at South Africa, have come through and got finished number 2, and they had a lot of tight games, but they were managing to win them. New Zealand had some really tight games, but they just couldn't get over the line and couldn't win them. So to me, in the end, that just really cost them, and they just didn't quite know how to tough it out and just get over the line, which can be so frustrating when you know you're playing good cricket.
Who better than Dane can tell us about the tight games and the close games? Of course, there were quite a few for New Zealand as well. They hosted the World Cup in 2000. They won that. We saw that the winners of those World Cup were also felicitated during that last league match. There was a packed crowd there for the last match of New Zealand. They of course won it, but the journey, Dane, how would you put New Zealand's performance in this tournament in words? Because I remember when we were hosting the World Cup in 2011, when India was hosting the Men's World Cup in 2011, the players that come out and they were saying, MS Dhoni was saying that, it was a pressure for all of us, because wherever we were going for practice, in the hotels, people were coming to us and they were just saying that you're winning this World Cup, right? You have to win it. It's happening in India.
Yeah, look, certainly I thought they were contenders. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit disappointed for them, not at them. Yeah, as you say, like Angela said, World Cup is a different pressure, and hosting a World Cup, that's also a different pressure, because everybody just expects you to win, but it's not. Cricket is a funny game. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, especially what the team has put me through. I don't like the game as much as I did. But no, look, I'm actually very devastated for them. They're wonderful people, first of all. They're great people. I know a couple of them a little bit more, and like people like Susie Wade, Sophie Devine, I know really well, and I was actually devastated for them. When I heard that they obviously saw that they're out of the World Cup, and you could see they were upset. They wanted to win it, or they wanted to just get close at home, and look, I think that's a testament of the New Zealand people as well, coming out, even though New Zealand was out of the World Cup, they came out and they supported their team. That's testament to the country, the people, and that's a testament to the team as well. I think they're wonderful people. I think they're still a great team. Yes, they came short. Their batting maybe has not helped them as much as they wanted to, relying on the big names. But, they're going to learn and they're going to be stronger, from that. I always believe that you come back stronger, and no doubt that New Zealand will. And as I said, I'm devastated for them. I definitely don't want them to beat us. I said to Sophie and Susie before the tournament, I said, I'm rooting for you guys, but just not against us, But again, that's just because they're my mates and they're good people. Played really good cricket. I was so happy for Susie. Just want to put that on record. I was so happy for her. Sent her a message. I just said, yeah, you're such a legend. Coming back from a massive injury. You could see she was uncomfortable coming into international cricket again, and the way she showed her class, I was excited. I was so excited to watch her go. And as a cricketer, I grew up watching her. Funny enough, even though I played a lot of games against her, I grew up watching her and seeing her excel like that. That makes me, I guess, excited to come back to play international cricket, because she showed how you come back to play cricket. So again, sorry that I digress, but I was very upset when they didn't make it, because they were in my top four. I'm not gonna lie, but they'll come back stronger. They're quality people, quality team, and they'll you never keep a quality team quiet.
Of course, and as you mentioned about the comebacks, this tournament has given us some really great moments to cherish of well, and inspirations coming in from Bisma Maroof, Afi Fletcher, and of course Susie Bates, as you rightly mentioned. But you said that cricket is a funny game, Danny. But if you have to ask you, what is easier, to settle your nerves when you're watching the game or when you're playing that close game?
I'd rather play the close game and be in the middle, because you can ask my teammates. I'm one of those people that sit in the shower. When it's a close game, I don't even watch. So can you imagine how hard it is to watch? At least now I can turn off the TV. When I'm there, I can't turn off anything. I'll never forget in the World Cup opener and the T20 World Cup opener when I played against England, I sat in the shower and I literally closed my ears because the TVs were blaring, and Chloe Tryon came into the shower. She said, no, relax. I said, I can't. So, no, I don't know which one's better. At least the TV I can turn off.
Yeah, TV you can turn off, right? There's an option there.
And I've done that a couple of times. I'm not going to lie. I've done it a couple of times. I turn it on, off.
But Julia, as you said that the lead up to the World Cup for New Zealand was really good. They won the series against India. A lot of game practice there, game time there for the players as well. And we saw the players in good form as well. But that's what also tells you a story there, that playing the bilateral series and then playing in one-off tournaments like this of World Cup is quite a different story. How do you put that in words?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously everyone's professional now and playing, but it's ironic that the two teams that played in that really good series both haven't made the semi-finals. So is it the fact that they're trying to play too much cricket leading into these tournaments? Are they trying to, is their preparation too congested leading into something like this? I mean, England nearly fell over as well leading into this tournament. There was a little bit more of a break, about a month off before that. But I don't know. I just wonder if they're trying to cram too many games in before these, because I think women's cricket, as fantastic as it is, still hasn't quite got their calendar right. They still aren't. There's still a sort of a little bit of maybe cost cutting by making sure that they get tours in somewhere that's in the neighbourhood of where they're going to be touring to save some money. And I just think maybe they just need to space those out just for the well-being of some of these players. And was New Zealand, exhausted? I mean, you had Sophie Devine getting injured, you had Leah Tahuhu getting injured. Obviously Goswami got injured for India as well. So it really affected some of those teams. Goswami in that last game would have been unbelievable to have. And the same thing with New Zealand when they were playing England. Sophie Devine was batting beautifully, and really putting some big pressure on New Zealand. And if New Zealand had won that team, well, they'd be in the semi-finals now, not England. So to me, it's maybe just about working on that plan leading into these things. It's great having these bilateral series, but maybe only a 5-game series instead, and give yourself a bit more I think it can be a little overrated playing too many games, and sometimes it's just nice to actually have a bit of a mental and physical break for your team to make sure you're nice and fresh leading into such a unbelievable tournament this has been. That the standard has gone through the roof, and every game is a tough game. So I think that may have been a little bit of an issue for New Zealand as well, and potentially India.
Definitely, that could be one reason, of course, as Julia has put that in words for us. But now let's have a look at New Zealand's outing in this tournament so far, how they've fared, what could be the concern areas, and what were the positives for them as well. So the number 3 spot for New Zealand, Amelia Kerr, had a very good season in the India series. She was a top scorer there in the World Cup, but we saw her produce that 1/2 century, but then somehow she didn't look at her absolute best. So the number yet again for New Zealand coming in a concern out there, because Amelia Kerr, we were pinning a lot of hopes on her. Of course, with the ball also, she produced some good performances for the team, but with the bat, still she didn't look at her absolute best, and that might be one of the reasons that hurt New Zealand in this tournament.
Dane? Look, I think I'm going to state on record, I think Amelia Kerr is an incredible cricket player. I think, she's going to be, she's going to go down as one of the best when she's finished. And Julia can challenge me on that, or you can agree with me. But I think, watching the India-New Zealand series and the way she got, into her work, I thought it was a great move from New Zealand's leadership to put her in at 3. It just extended that batting lineup because they were so top heavy and they relied on, too many players at the top, and that just extended the batting lineup. So first of all, she was incredible, yes. But as Julia mentioned, the World Cup is a different beast, is it not? It's a different pressure. It's not a series. It's a World Cup. And every game is pressure. Yes, she bowled really well. I think she bowled really well. Crunch situations where she did really well. But she's going to come into her own, I believe. I think, yes, disappointing. You would have expected more of her after that series, but she's still a kid and she's still coming into her own. And I think you need to let her come into her own. Certainly my first World Cup, my second World Cup, I was not who I was supposed to be because I was becoming, the cricketer that I wanted to be, and certainly I'm not the best cricketer that I should be, but, you learn in these experiences. And I think keeping her at 3, I would still persist with her at number 3. I think she adds massive value. Her stats speak for itself at number 3. So, yeah, obviously disappointing, but any World Cup, right? I mean, we've called players and we said they're going to do really well, and they have not. It's just, that's the beast of the game. The game sometimes allows you to do really well and sometimes not. Laura Wolfert, 28 runs are odd away from being the leading run scorer in any World Cup. Any other World Cup might not have been the same. Does not take away from who she is as a cricketer, who she is as a batter, and the same with Amelia Kerr. I'm still, massive battles between the two of us, but I have massive respect for her as a cricketer and as a kid that's, I think, is going to make a massive name in world cricket in no time.
Definitely. You agree to that, Julia, I guess, because we were talking about that how World Cup is altogether a different ball game, and you always keep talking about the New Zealand score in Susie Bates, Sophie Devine, Emmy Sedgwick, probably Liha Tahuvu as well. And then we are also including Amelia Kerr's name into it. And it's a big moment. It's a big achievement for her. The kind of, at a very young age, the kind of approach that she's shown towards the game.
Yeah. I'm gonna disagree with Dane, because I'm gonna say she already is a big thing.
Okay.
I think she's great. I mean, she's 21. She scored 200 runs at this tournament. Was the 3rd best run scorer for New Zealand. A lot of pressure on her, and with the ball as well. Like, she's a key wicket taker as well with the ball. Got 9 wickets as well. So to me, I think she did fantastically well. And I love the way that she's evolving and getting better and better all the time. To me, I sort of see that Elise Perry sort of style in her with that fight and the competitive amount and her will to get better. Comes in as a primarily a bowler and is now sort of evolving into that but nearly a batting all-rounder, which is exactly the same as Elise Perry sort of did as well, which will extend her name in the game. And at 21, the team is probably aging a little bit, and I think someone like her is the absolute future for New Zealand. Clearly going to be a captain of the future, and yeah, she's going to be great, inspiring a lot of young girls, no doubt, after this World Cup to take up the game. And she'll be playing with a few younger kids in another 10 or 15 years when she's still at her 5th World Cup and no doubt still scoring a heap of runs and getting a heap of wickets.
And of course, about the middle order as well, Julia, because in the pre and mid shows also we were always keep talking on that middle order. There come a few performances from them, but in patches out there, a little bit of more consistency from the middle order because they had experience there with Katie Martin, with Maddie Green as well. There, Leah Tahuhu, of course, the batting order keeps on changing there, but because the middle order and the lower middle order did not click well, they were unable to probably capitalize on the momentum they received.
Yeah, they probably didn't do as well as they wanted to in that middle order. I think they're so used to Susie and Sophie getting them up to this amazing start that they sort of can just come out and cruise from 35th over onwards and just knock it round and get their decent runs. I thought Katie Martin did a pretty good job. Maddie Green, probably she won't be as happy. She started to get a couple of runs here and there, but I just think the problem I felt with New Zealand is the fact that they just would lose big clumps of wickets just in those times when they're trying to accelerate, and they just couldn't keep that momentum going just to get their scores just slightly more than they were getting to ensure that they could take out the game. And I also thought that they didn't bat out their 50 in quite a few games, and that's just in a 50 over game. You've just got to make sure you're doing that. Even if you start knocking around, don't worry about if you're not getting the boundaries. If you're out there, you're still getting runs, and I think that cost them a few times as well by not actually batting out their 50.
Yeah, when we talk about the journey, there are of course ups and downs, and if you have to talk about the ups, then Sophie Devine, first game of the tournament, she hits a century there, almost a century in that game against I don't remember the opposition, but she was struggling with a strain there. But she came back, couldn't make a larger impact after coming back, but she showed a lot of great character. The entire crowd there was clapping for her. The opposition also came into her and applauded her for her efforts. You've played with her as well, Dane. So how do you put her captaincy, her performance, and just the basket of skills that she brings to the table? Because a smiling captain, what I saw of her was, irrespective of whatever the circumstances on the ground was, she looked calm there with her tactical moves that she made, and a smiling captain. Even at the pressers, I saw that. I noticed.
Yeah, probably the opposite of me. But no, look, I've played with Sophie. Marizon played with her at the Big Bash. Obviously got a lot of chat in the Big Bash. She's a wonderful captain, and I maybe sold her short when it comes to her tactical ability. At the start of the tournament, I said Heather Knight at the tournament for me tactically is the best. But I watched a couple of games and I thought, wow, she knows what she's doing, and I felt a bit guilty that I did not pick her as my tactical captain. Actually, Brittany Cooper picked her as the tactical captain, and she's wonderful. She's a wonderful person. I was lucky enough to room with her a couple of times as well. Just a wonderful person, and that's what I mentioned. I said the New Zealanders are great people. I know we have had our battles, but yeah, Sophie is such a competitor. I think she's definitely not done and dusted. Yes, she did not maybe perform back in the way she wanted to, but she has carried that team and led that team incredibly well, and she needs to be proud, and I hope she is proud of the way she has led that team, and no doubt that she will in the future, and I'm rooting for her, not against us, but I'm rooting for her in the future, and I think she's got some really massive things coming up for her, and really good things. So yeah, again, it's nice to root for people that's good people. Cricket is not just as cricketers, but as human beings, and she's up there as one of the best people I've ever met. She brings the energy. I don't know how she has so much energy. She's a little bit older than I am, and she made me feel old because of the energy she brings in a setup, and Shirley Marizon also said that with the Big Bash. As a captain, you want to bring that energy, and she definitely has. And again, I'm rooting for her. And definitely her road is not done by no means, I hope. And she's just been incredible, and I don't have many words Oh, I do have a lot of words, but I don't have many words to describe her as a person. But as a captain, incredible leader, and again, her job's not done yet.
And we all hope that her job is not done yet and we get to see more of Sophie Devine. But of course, in a home World Cup, you're leading a side, you're not having a very good outing. So to take that team up in that, she would have played a very big role in that as well, Julia. How do you put her a captaincy and the way she's carried the team forward?
Yeah, as Dane said, I think she's got a great cricket mind. I haven't actually played on the same team as her, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to chat with her when she's on field and playing WBBL. And as a commentator, it's so good to have someone like her out in the middle, just giving you such amazing insights into what's going through her brain while she's trying to analyse what the bowlers are doing, where she's going to find her next boundary, what's the situation in the game, all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic, and you can just see it ticking over, and that's what makes an amazing captain. The fact that she can still talk to the commentators at the same time, as well as understanding her own game, or even when she's in the field as the captain, be able to break away from that and be able to give some commentary to the general public and to really let them in on what's happening. So I think she's amazing. And I really love the way she thinks about the game and goes about it. She's been great. She scored 309 runs, had a little bit of an injury concern towards the end there. And the way that she, I suppose, got the team out there in that last game, like you're saying, Dane, and New Zealand came out and supported them. They didn't drop their heads all because they weren't able to qualify. They still wanted to go out there and have a complete performance. And, they did a fantastic job against Pakistan. And to me, I think they can hold their heads up high. It's tough, the extra pressure. It's great having a home World Cup, but it's also a lot of extra pressure on you as well, knowing that, you want to win it so much for your country in your own country. So, I'm sure Sophie will be around for a while. She's only 32, and she's got some really good. I love the top order for New Zealand. I think their sort of top five is pretty solid. And Maddie Green probably just needs to just continue to work on her game. She's definitely got some great talent, and they can probably switch around their order a little bit as well and keep it nice and flexible and adaptable. But I think New Zealand have got a lot of talent. I'm extremely happy. Hannah Rowe, one of my favourites from the World Cup. I think she's been great. 9 wickets at 29.88 and going for just under 5. Probably got touched up a little bit on occasions, but generally she showed some really nice form with the ball bowled in some really good areas. Picked up a fifer as well in one of her games. And there's a really good future there, as well as, Jess Kerr opening the bowling. Didn't pick up a lot of wickets, but her economy rates early and putting the pressure on the opening bowlers I thought was fantastic. So they've got some good younger players coming through that are really going to, assist them in the future and keep them pushing hard and performing at a high level.
Of course, you're mentioning about the New Zealand's bowling unit and Hannah Rowe, of course, with her fifer, Jess Kerr with her economical overs as well. But probably the biggest positive that New Zealand would also want to take from this tournament is the second coming of Frances McKay, isn't it, Dane? The way she has played in this tournament and brought the performances to the fore, that is something that New Zealand would want to see more of Frances McKay in the coming days.
Yeah, look, I think the bravery of her, opening up the bowling a couple of times, more than a couple of times, that shows the experience, it shows the confidence within your own skill, and she showed that, and she did a great job. And then those small little, I guess, innings that she played down the order, and you know what I loved about her, and this is as she was supposed to be like middle, little bit lower, but not like low order. And she was that person that came in at 9. That's what the team needed. And I'm happy to do that because I need to win the game from there. And that speaks so much about a cricketer, in my opinion, saying, I'll take a back seat and I'll try and win the game from there. It's so easy as a cricketer, and Julia, you can jump in if you want. As a batter, you're like, but I need to be up there. I need to bat. I need to win games. But she just sat back and she's like, oh, well, this is what the team needs. I'll come in and I'll try and change or win the game from number 9. That, for me, that speaks volumes as a cricketer, as a player, and as an individual as well. Not many people would accept that and do that. So bar her bowling, she was incredible in my opinion. I think she was one of the standouts for me. Hannah Rowe was incredible, as Julia mentioned. Hannah Rowe came into her own at this World Cup. I think she needed this World Cup. She's always gone under the radar, just bowling a couple of spells, second, third change. I think she came into her own, she bowled really well. But I mean, Frances McCarthy, she was incredible for me. Personally, coming bowling off spin in a ODI World Cup against India, opening up the bowling and just saying, hey, here I am, take me on, did really well. And then again, with her batting as well, experience shone through. I was massively impressed with her.
As you rightly said, Dane, the eagerness and the want to give all for the team and just win the game from any situation. And specifically, we saw that against England as well, Julia. She was phenomenal with the ball, and we were all hoping in her last over that she gets one more wicket there, and New Zealand would have won the match against England. How impressed were you with her performances in this tournament?
For Hannah Rowe, she's been fantastic. As I mentioned before, I just think for a young player that hasn't played an enormous amount of cricket, World Cup cricket is pretty full on, and that performance against England was outstanding. England being obviously the current world champions in this format. So to me, I think obviously she's still developing. She's, her stock ball's pretty good. I think she's just going to keep getting better as she starts to get some more variation and experiment a little bit with some shorter pitch bowling as well. But I think, I think they've got a great bowler on their hands there. And Frankie Mackay was, as Dane said, she's great. Her cricket brain is pretty good as well. So I think that was a big help for someone like Sophie Devine to be able to lean on someone like Frankie Mackay, someone who can set their own fields and has their own plans and can really be assertive and take that to the captain. I think lots of captains like that. Sort of takes a bit of pressure off them, and you can really experiment with a few different sort of things with someone who's as switched on as someone like Frankie Mackay.
Definitely. So this was all about the outing, the concerns and the positives that the home team could take from this World Cup. What should be the way ahead for them? We'll get to know that from our experts now. Dane, how difficult it is for the think tank, the coach, of course, and the captain as well to take the team forward. Of course, they're all professional players. They would have been in that situation before. But hosting a World Cup is a very special moment, and the team wants to make it the most. But how do you think New Zealand is going to gather themselves up and then go ahead?
To be honest, a World Cup is a World Cup. There's only 4 out of 8 teams that can make the semi-finals. That's a fact. Even if you play good cricket, you might not make it. And I don't think that it's a cause of concern for them. Yes, you are disappointed. I've been there many times. It's not a lack of playing good cricket. It's not a lack of having leaders, having good cricketers in your side. It's just, unfortunately, that's the way the dice rolled. You did not make it. But I don't think there's any cause of concerns. I think they're on the right track. As Julia mentioned, I think their batting lineup they've done really well. I think putting Amelia Kerr up at number 3, I don't think there's any cause of concern for that team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As cricketers, we know, that's the nature of the beast as the game. I actually made the comment to my mom yesterday. I said, I hate this game, but I love it, but I hate it, and that's why. Because you can play really good cricket and you can lose. And that's what we said about England at the start. They didn't play really bad cricket, but they were losing. Unfortunately, that's how the game goes, and that's how, that's how it works. But yes, it was a home World Cup. But as Julia mentioned, and I'll reiterate that they can keep their heads high for what they produce in this World Cup, and no doubt they're a team to be reckoned with in the future. They've got really good youth with experience. I hope that experience does not retire anytime soon, because I'll probably cry. But they've got a massive mix of really good players, and they're going to come into their own. But any team has their day, and it wasn't their day. That's it. There's no cause of concern, in my opinion.
Coming to you, Julia, next. We were talking about the key players, the experienced players of the New Zealand setup, Emma Setherfield, Susie Bates, Sophie Devine, and even Katie Martin. During the World Cup, during the last game, Katie Martin put up a very special message for all the fans out there. She got emotional during the anthems as well. But they a lot of dependent on their key players, and we don't know what the future is going to be now for Susie Bates, Katie Martin. So how do you see the team shape up, taking into consideration the stints that we might get to see from these key players now? How would the team plan next for their coming cricket?
Well, like Dane said, I don't think there's any need to panic. I think, they've still, I said they're an aging team, but that can be a really good thing. It's, a lot of experience there. I think, you've had players, Amy Satterthwaite's come back from giving birth. You've got players coming back from injuries like Susie Bates. I think they've dealt with it all really, really well. And I just feel that we talked about England with a bit of bad luck at the beginning of their 3 games that they lost at the beginning. Well, I think New Zealand was probably in the same boat to a degree. I think they've done an amazing job. I think they've got a great team ready to go. They've got a couple of people like Brooke Halliday. I was really impressed with her as the left-hander that played a couple of games. She's obviously going to play some more games in the future, and that's another batter that they've got on the sidelines that's brilliant, getting ready to come into this team. So to me, I don't think it's a time to panic. They had little Fran Jonas, the little left armer, little schoolgirl at 17, and clearly she's got some good talent as well. So yeah, I don't think it's time to panic. I think they did a really, really amazing job and just probably ran out of a little bit of luck on just a couple of occasions where they just couldn't quite get it right. So that's certainly no time to panic.
Luck is what probably New Zealand would have wanted in their campaign a bit, but they can hold their head high, is what both our experts feel, and they definitely would want to do the same heading on from this World Cup now. So we'll, of course, this was all from the New Zealand review, the way they've carried themselves in the tournament, being the hosts as well. Of course, we'll get the reviews of other teams as well. Until then, you stay tuned to Women's Cricket Zone for all the updates on women's cricket.